In this session we're going to be looking at control accounts held within Sage Line 50 and how to change the program date. Okay, so first of all I just want to show you where the control accounts are held within Sage. So if we go to Settings and Control Accounts, the control accounts screen comes up here, and it basically shows you each nominal code for all the control accounts held within Sage. Now, the main two that we're going to be looking at are the debtors control and the creditors control. These are the two most commonly used control accounts, and they're the two that we're going to be using in the next exercise. So what is a control account? Well, its primary purpose is that it acts as an independent check on the accuracy of the financial data that's entered into the ledger. So it's a check. Okay, it's very easy to make mistakes when huge batches of data are being entered. For example, might well become when you're tired and you're sort of entering let's say lots of transactions. So what happens is the numbers become transposed. Now some of you might have heard of that term before, but all it means is that numbers are basically entered the wrong way around or back to front. Okay, so a control account is effectively a summary account, and it states a total balance of subsidiary accounts for the financial statements. So it acts as a summary. As I said, the two most commonly used control accounts are the debtors control account and the creditors control account. Okay, and what happens is basically at the end of each accounting period, the total of all customer balances in the customer ledger is matched with the balance on the debtor ledger control account. So the debtor ledger control account effectively states the total of all individual balances within the customer ledger. And it's the same for the creditor control account. So in the same way, at the end of each accounting period, the total of all supplier balances in the supplier ledger is matched with the balance on the creditor ledger control account. So, in other words, the creditor ledger control account states the total of all the individual balances within the supplier ledger. Okay, now control accounts also act as an internal control within the accounting system. So usually data is entered by one member of staff, and then it's checked by another member of staff, normally the supervisor or the manager. So they'll check the control accounts against the subsidiary ledgers, for example the customer ledger or the supplier ledger, and this will be done sort of prior to the final accounts being printed. So in this way, the use of control accounts enhance internal controls and assist with maintaining the financial integrity of the accounts. Now, just I want you to take note of the fact that control accounts also help with the following. Okay. So they help errors to be located or found. So, errors can be found within the individual ledgers. The trial balance is also shorter because there's no need to list each individual balance within the debtor or creditor ledgers. We just have the total balance in the control account. And also it provides a a balance quickly, so rather than having to add up the totals of the individual accounts, we get a balance for the financial statements quickly. Okay, let's just have a little look at a couple of questions. Okay, so let's say, for example, a business has 100 customers. Each customer has a balance outstanding of £50. Okay, what figure should show in the debtor's control account? Okay, so I'll put the answer up on Blackboard, but I think that's quite an easy one. Okay, so and also just have a think about what would be another name for a sales ledger control account. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to show you now how checking the, for example, the customer ledger total against the debtor's control account would work at, for example, the month end, when we're sort of preparing possibly the management accounts at the end of the month. So if you just make sure that you go to the customer ledger, okay, so just make sure you're in the customer ledger and go to reports. We're going to run an aged debtors report. Okay, so if you select aged debtors, again remember you click on the plus sign next to it, that will show you further reports. Now we could run a detailed report, and that's probably the best thing to do at the end of the month, just to check all your balances. But just for our example today, we're only really interested in the total at the moment. So I'm just going to run an aged debtors summary report. So if I select that, it comes up with the criteria values. Now you're familiar with running reports by now, but I'm just going to change the date because our month end, I'm using the Smart Property Designs Limited company for the moment, is the 30th of April. So I'm going to enter the date the 30th of April because that's when we want our report to be run to. Okay, so select OK. Right, make sure you are on preview when you generate the report, just as a reminder. Make sure you do select preview. Okay. Right. Okay, now that we're going to look at the total. Okay, so we're interested in this total here, this total balance, which actually says 218,180. Okay, just be a bit clearer there. Let's bring it down a little bit. Okay, so the amount is 218,180. Okay, so that's the total of our individual customer balances on the customer ledger. Now we want to match that to the debtors control account. Now we looked before at the nominal codes for the different control accounts. So what we need to do here is run a trial balance. Okay, so if you go to modules and select financials, okay, or again you could select it from the shortcut links. So if I just go into financials, let's move that down, we want to run a trial balance, so select trial, and again make sure that you are on preview. We don't actually want to print anything out. Okay, so just make sure you are on preview, and then just run. Okay, Sage will then come up with the criteria values for the trial balance. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that that matches with the date that I selected for the aged debtors report. Now we ran the aged debtors report for the 30th of April because we're running the management accounts for the end of April. So I just want to select, so that's for month 1, so I'm going to select April 2013 for the trial balance. Okay, and then select OK. Right, now you see here we have the trial balances come up. So what I want to do now is look for the nominal code for the debtors control account. And again, if you weren't sure, you could look in settings as all the control accounts are listed there. But we can see here it's 1100, there's our debtors control account. So what I want to do is I want to check that this balance here that we have in the debtors control account matches the balance that I have in my age debtors analysis. Okay, and the two amounts are actually the same, so that's fine, so that's correct. Okay, so that's just an example of how we'll be using the control accounts and how you can run the checks with your colleagues next week. Okay, finally I just want to show you how to change the program date. Now this will come in useful when you're entering batches of sales invoices, for example. Sales invoices tend to be sent out at the end of the month, so they'll probably all be for the same date, so you'll have hundreds of sales invoices going out, and you don't want to keep having to enter the date all the time. So what we can do is we can go to settings, and then if we come down to basically change program date, okay, and it's not going to let me run it with any other windows, so I'll just close down the other windows. Now here we can change the default program date. Now you'll notice that it automatically currently has defaults to today's date, okay, but we can select it to default to any date we want, and so we're going to be, say, entering batch posting sales invoices for the end of the month, which for our current accounts here in this example is the 30th of April 2013. So if I change the program date to 30th of April 2013, and again this is something which is going to come up in the following exercises, so you'll just need to remember how to do it. And now, just to show you an example, I'm going to go to the customer ledger, and I'm going to start batch posting some invoices. So if I select an account, let's select Croft, okay, you'll see that automatically the date has defaulted to the 30th of April 2013. So that's just one thing that makes it easier for when we're entering data, and one less thing we have to worry about. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel that, and that's it for today.